Everyone, welcome to another episode of the Pawsome University Podcast /show if you're watching on YouTube. We have a lot to talk about today. We're going to discuss what's going on with this podcast, what's going on with our content creation, and what's about to change. Mm-hmm. And then we're also going to be talking about, we'll be doing some jet setting this year and really trying to learn as much as we can and grow in this field and grow in this, our knowledge of dog behavior. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of a priority this year for us. So there's a few conferences as far as animal behavior that are coming up. You have the IAABC conference.
Yes, that's coming up soon.
That's coming up very soon.
Beginning of May.
Get my phone.
Beginning of May. I think it's the 5th and 6th.
It's once we get back we'll be going on vacation.
We're going on vacation without the kids, and I'm really excited to not have to be a mom for a week. I know that sounds bad, but all my other moms out there, I'm sure you guys are like, no, I get it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you just want to stop hearing the word mom 24/7. So middle of April for spring break, John and I are going on vacation to the Dominican Republic with our two best friends. And then when we come back, I want to say it's the 5th and 6th of May that the IAABC is having their conference. And that is
It's the 4th to the 7th. It's in Houston, Texas.
Yes.
For reference, we are in New Jersey. For extra reference, I've never been on a plane before.
So John's expecting to get on a plane 3 times this year.
Yeah, at least, which would be really cool.
I think it would be so awesome. Yeah, what a story.
We're figuring out the basics of if we can get child
care
to go to Houston. But I'd really like to go to this. I feel like it'd be really cool. So that's the IAABC Foundation Animal Behavior Conference in Houston, Texas, May 4th to May 7th. And then the other one that we want to get to, it's the Aggression in Dogs Conference.
Yeah, that's in Chicago.
Yeah, that'll be Chicago. That's coming up in the fall. Here it is. It's on the website now. That'll be September 29th to October 1st, Chicago, Illinois. Join the world's foremost experts on aggression in dogs. So that's one that I really want to get to as well.
Yeah.
And I believe it's a newer one. It's not as established as the IAABC's conferences. Mm-hmm. But we want to definitely start showing up at these places and learning what we can from the speakers and kind of networking.
Yeah. And just being a part of that group, right? And just meeting new people and hearing different ideas. And, we all, even though we're all like in the same boat, some people specialize in different things. Like we don't do trick training at all.
Right.
It's not our thing.
I don't even know the name of most of the tricks.
Oh, I don't at all. Like we have some clients that will do agility stuff and they'll tell me briefly, but I know nothing about that world.
Right.
Nothing about it. I really don't. And I don't have the bandwidth to dip into it.
It just doesn't interest us.
It doesn't. And there are some dogs that love it. I mean, I don't know, I forget that. I think the dog's name is Pink. It's going viral right now. It's a border collie, I want to say, or an Aussie Shepherd. It looks very similar, black and white. And this dog is literally doing the agility course. I think got the best time. And I've seen it multiple times on Instagram, just repurposed, other accounts posting it because everybody's a leech. But I was so proud of this dog. And I don't normally like agility, but this dog was so happy and jumped into its mom's arms at the end. And I was like, that was pretty freaking cool.
Dogs that really love it.
So yeah, I would never want to do that, but it was fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just doesn't interest.
No.
I don't know all the Schutzen dogs.
Yeah, I know nothing about that.
I see people get into arguments in our comments on Instagram about it. I'm just I'm not getting involved.
No.
I don't understand.
One, I don't know enough about it, and two, I really don't care.
We do behavior modification.
For family dogs.
Right.
These are dogs that live in the home.
And shelters, that's our forte.
Yeah.
So everybody's got, like you said, everybody's got
they got their own
thing
stuff
that they're passionate about, and this thing that makes for, that's how things improve. So you get people who obsess over certain topics, and they just get better and better. Whereas, we don't care about backstalls, but then Zach George is posting backstalls on his Instagram account, and he's diving into the trick world, and he's showing people that he doesn't just do this, he does that, and it's what pushes everybody a little bit deeper. We really like the science. I get Google Scholar emails every morning, and I look through to see what's new relative to behavior, and sometimes in the medical stuff too. And if I find something cool, I'll send it to Dr.
Well, you have a medical background as well, so I think that you meld both worlds.
Right. But I just really enjoy the science behind it, and I enjoy like seeing that, like the problem solving part of it.
Yeah.
And that's just what we do. And then we follow a few different dog trainers on Instagram, and there's one her thing is she is all about separation anxiety. Mm-hmm. And like she only takes on separation anxiety clients. And so everybody's
very niche.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody's got these things that really interest them, or for whatever reason they're very emotional and attached to. And I think that makes the world go round.
Absolutely.
And that's why going to these conferences where all these people get together is like it's a really valuable thing. And we haven't been able to do it because money and because you can't get me on a plane.
And I've been pregnant for like the last 3 years. So.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about.
So I am, definitely planning on taking maybe a longer break in between the next child that we might have, just so.
This is the break. Enjoy it.
Yeah. So Joey is 10 months now, and he's like this little human. Mm-hmm. And he adores my parents, so like they can take care of him, and JJ adores them too, so no issue there. But trying to remind myself that I'm not just a mom.
Yeah.
Right? Like I can do other things. And
people can do hard things.
Yeah. Another really good podcast.
Is that a podcast?
Yeah, I sent you the episodes to listen to. Dr. Becky.
Sorry, Dr. Becky.
No, she's a guest on We Can Do Hard Things. Glennon Doyle is the one that hosts We Can Do Hard Things, but it's a good podcast. I enjoy it. But yeah, I'm just trying to remind myself that I can be without the kids, and I can do things without the kids, and I can go to these conferences, and I can do some of the things. I will never be the same person I was before them, but I can do lots of things that just pertain to my career. And I don't have to feel guilty about that. I can feel guilty, but I have to learn how to tolerate being guilty about it.
And that the same goes for our relationship and spending time and understanding. And that's something that we've established a long time ago, is that like it all started with us.
Yeah. If there's no us,
there's no them.
Yep.
So that's why we try
and if there's no us, and if we're not working on this, we can't function together as business owners. Mm-hmm. And then it all crumbles. So it's very important.
And it has many times.
I would say it crumbled.
And then we have to, I have to apologize, or you have to apologize, and we fix it. But it's complicated, especially when it's like, like we spend every hour together.
Yeah.
Obviously we're in different offices, but
we're together all the time.
It's not easy.
Yeah. We're separated by 20 feet. Someone just was saying to me the other day, they're like asking about the background of what we do. And I was like, oh yeah, like John and I do this, whatever. And they're like, does John have another job? And I was like, no. And they're like, so you guys are together all the time? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, that must be really hard. And I was like, it is and it isn't.
You learn how to make it work.
Yeah, but I also think we genuinely like each other.
Yeah, that helps.
It really helps. Like, I don't mind being around you 24/7 unless you're being a jerk. And then I want some space from you, but I still don't want to leave the house. And same with me. If I'm having a bad day, I'm sure you don't want to be right next to me, but we still always genuinely want to be around each other.
Yeah. And like at night, like I'll do my thing, you do your thing.
Yes, which I think has,
because
we never used to do that when we first got married. We never, our first house was kind of tiny. There wasn't much.
It's like 980 square feet.
Yeah, there wasn't many places to go. So in this house, things are very different. Like I kind of have the domain of the bedroom at night. I watch my shows, I decompress, I do my thing with the dogs, and then you do your thing up in your office and stuff. And I think that definitely helps. A little bit of separation is good. But I think our communication has a lot to do with it too. I think we're much better at communicating and being honest with ourselves about what we need from our relationship and from our work relationship.
Yeah.
Because that's really big. If anybody listening is working with a partner or even just a friend, you still have to make sure that relationship is okay, even though business can get involved. People always say don't mix business with pleasure, friends and work, and that can be dicey. We've seen that. We've had that. Yeah. So it's important to constantly be in communication and talking about everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So all that being said, I'm getting on a plane.
Yeah, I'm excited for you.
I'm going to do it, and that's a huge, growth on my part, and then we'll go in April and we're like, really, this is what I spent 29 years being
Terrified of?
Not, I wouldn't say terrified, but definitely afraid of.
Yeah.
Definitely avoiding.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I don't want to worry about that anymore. That won't be part of my personality anymore.
No.
That'll be in the past. And then we can actually get on the plane and go to Houston, Texas, and go to Chicago, and go to all these conferences. I believe there's a reactive dog conference. I hope this is in the United States this year. We'll see. I'll look into it. But like I'm all about going all these places and learning everything I can. And like I don't want to do the virtual thing.
Yeah. No, so. I'm excited that you're excited. I'm excited that you're all gung ho.
Yeah, I say that now.
We'll see how it goes. Take it one day at a time, right?
Yeah. So we did some updates. I think we talked about the website last time when we were our crappy podcast episodes. It didn't sound this good.
Oh, they were so long ago.
No,
3 years ago.
I'm talking about last week.
Oh, are you kidding me?
On the wireless goes. No, I'm just talking about whether or not we talked about our website and what's new on the website. And we recently launched.
I think we mentioned it.
The new PawsomeUniversity.com.
Yes.
Which has everything built into it. So, like right from the homepage, you log in, and if you have an account, you can access your workshops that you purchased. You can access any online courses from us that you purchased. You can access your. It's like it's called in the software. It's like the coaching program, but it's like you'll buy your training sessions. And your virtual training bundles, everything is all in there for you to book, but it's all off of this one website now, which is a huge bonus.
It's so organized.
Yeah. So that's what's up behind us if you're watching on YouTube.
You're watching.
You can see. Yeah, I'm really proud of it, and I'm still making a bunch of improvements to it, but it's more like this next step of like how we want to present ourselves and the level of professionalism that we're going to continue to deliver.
Yeah.
I think it has a lot to do with it. And now that's why I was saying on our vlog, like before I actually kicked off this podcast, I was saying like we're investing money in equipment.
You have to spend to make.
It's not even about making money. It's about something bothered me that I saw online a little while ago. And it was with the whole Zach George and the punitive trainers that were going after him.
Yeah.
But somebody, an aversive trainer, was on somebody else's podcast. I don't know who it was. I don't remember the podcast. But they basically, their argument for why, like, the aversive training is always the ones that get, like, the TV shows and they're always blowing up. The argument is, well, why don't you put as much effort into your content creation as we do? Because there's a lot of aversive trainers who have these 1 million subscriber YouTube account who literally make documentaries about these dogs that they're working with. And are the training methods never training methods we would ever recommend? Absolutely. But it kind of annoyed me because he's not wrong.
Do you know why I think that is, though? I mean, yeah, he's not wrong because there's a lot less content when it comes to what we do behaviorally. It's with punitive training, aversive training, with prong collars, shock collars, it's all right there. You can see it in a blink of an eye. It's cause and effect. It's boom, boom, right in like 30 seconds. A dog reacts, they get leash popped or whatever, right? You see it all right there. With what we do, it takes a while to change emotions, and you don't see it as quickly. You don't see it as 0 to 10 or 10 to 0 as quickly. It takes time. There are so many little nuances. I mean, when I'm working with the dog, and that's the other thing. When I'm working with the dog, I don't give a shit about the camera. All I care about is that damn dog and working with that dog and making sure I'm watching every single moment that dog is experiencing, feeling, seeing through its own eyes, so I can watch this dog and know what those triggers are and what is my voice doing? What are the treats doing? What is the other dog or person or thing or whatever it is that they're reacting towards? What is going on in that dog's head? So it is a lot harder to capture all of that and put it into a 30-second video. It's pretty much impossible.
But that's why, I mean, you're not wrong. But that's what editing is for, and not even in the sense of short format videos. It doesn't need to be a short format video. You don't need to show the whole process in a 30, 60 second reel. We can film this stuff and actually really take our time and put it out in this well-polished documentary style video. There's no reason why we can't do that.
No, we absolutely can.
It could very well take 8 weeks to produce one video. But are we doing it? Is anybody else doing it right now? Not that I see. I'm sure they're out there, but not that I see.
Although I have to say, like, again, I'm going to play devil's advocate. It's like, you know, Zach George has been waking the beast and everybody's coming out of the woodwork trying to bash him. And he put up a video, you know, I'm not on social media that much, but I saw him put up a video because someone called him out for something. He had his dog off leash. He was working with his dog off leash, and they still found ways to say it was unrealistic and that it doesn't make any sense and it doesn't prove his point. And it's like, no matter what he's going to do, everyone's going to find a way to disagree with what he's doing.
Yeah, but my concern as a content creator is not whether or not someone's going to come out of the woodwork and bitch and moan about how something was done, or whether there was a ton of stimulus involved, or it was a low stimulus area that the dog was doing, whatever. Doesn't matter. I want to tell a story. I want to create composition that's going to get the viewer to really like it and really be drawn to it, and then maybe say, this is a better way to train my dog. Yeah. This is the right way to do it. This didn't make me feel bad. I didn't see anybody hitting a dog or shocking a dog or leash popping a dog or yelling at a dog or scaring a dog, but the results are still there. And I want to be able to present it in a way that's engaging, that
and
people
doable for the regular person.
Right. Right. And it doesn't even need to be a how-to. Like, I don't even want to go how-to route. I just want to, I want to document these dogs that are coming in and are having these huge improvements. Like when we get these texts from clients, you got one not too long ago, and you were saying like it was perfect timing that you needed to hear it.
Yeah.
And it's like,
it's rough in this business, man.
We could take all those texts and all those small victories and bottle them up into this 5 to 10 minute video about that dog and about the work that we're doing with them, Salem. I just feel like not only is it going to be good for me because it's going to be that outlet, that cathartic outlet, but I feel like it's going to be good for the positive reinforcement dog training world.
I know people need to see it. They need to see it start to finish, which a lot of times you don't get to see because there's a lot of time in between.
Right.
Like I just worked with a couple yesterday, and they were asking me like, you know, we're making small progress, but any idea how long this might take? And it's 2 older 8-year-old dogs who've been through a lot of stuff, and they've got some severe issues, you know, and it's gonna, you know, if I documented that from the beginning, which I wish that I did, and they're in a different state. They're far away, so they're never going to be able to come in person. But even just documenting me talking to them on Zoom and everybody getting the facts, because the facts matter. You know, anytime you see something in, you know, 30, 60 seconds in social media, you don't know that dog's history. You don't know anything about that dog. You don't know the family that it's a part of. You don't know anything. So you can't be taking these training methods and putting them towards your dog if you don't know why those methods are being done. You know, it may not be safe for your dog. You know, no aversive is safe for any dog, but it may really not be safe for your dog. So that would be fun to start doing, to really start doing these case studies, obviously making sure that my clients are okay with it, start to finish, and letting people really see the progress. So I'm on board.
So we got a lot of work ahead of us. But that all stemmed from me saying that off of the podcast, I was saying that we're investing in some equipment. Yeah. And so that one of those is a even higher quality camera. So what we had was we had a good quality vlog camera. It's a Canon G7X Mark II. So it's like a $500 camera. Pretty good for vlog style.
Yeah.
And then we never vlogged.
No.
Because I was just like, I don't know how to tell a story.
Well, you were really in your perfectionism-ish stage back then.
Yeah.
You have grown astronomically in like letting things go.
Yeah. Yeah, but we never...
vlogging's not supposed to be perfect. Vlogging is just your day.
It's just supposed to be raw. And I wasn't understanding that. And I was so focused on how do I tell a story?
I think it made you uncomfortable.
Yeah. I didn't want to waste my time. So in turn, I wasted my time. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway.
You did do some fun ones. We took Opal to the beach. That was a cute one.
That wasn't even on The G7X though. That was on an iPhone.
Oh, well, yeah, I know. No, you had some. No.
That was on an iPhone with a gimbal.
You're right.
Yeah,
The
we didn't.
gimbal that we
didn't-
spent all that money on and
we
didn't do anything
buy,
with.
Where is it? We didn't buy this camera
When did we buy
until
that?
we bought this a few months after we closed on the house.
I don't remember.
When we got the goats.
Oh, well, that was when I found out I was pregnant, so I was probably in a different world.
So yeah,
Transformation. Here we are.
that's what I got. What did I just do? Anyway, thanks for listening to that monologue. What are we at right now?
21 minutes.
21 minutes. 21
Anything
minutes
else you
in.
would like to discuss today?
You said you wanted to do a case study.
Yeah, I can talk about the clients that I worked with yesterday. They're in a different state. The ones I was just talking about, they're making slow progress. 8 years old. They live in an apartment. A lot of anxiety between the two of them, but the female is a redirector. Like she'll do like stalking behavior and then she'll go after her brother. And we're trying to really pinpoint the triggers. They've both been through a lot. The boy was with the mom since he was 12 weeks. The girl was adopted 11 months old and bounced between 5 houses prior to her. And then mom was in an abusive relationship, which both dogs experienced. And it was horrible. Now she's with a new partner. Great relationship. Things are going really well. They live together, trying to start a family. And that's difficult, right? So there's hormones going on there that's making the female dog really struggle. And they're picking up on that. So that's something to like mention for anybody listening. If you are family planning, you're taking like infertility injections or things like that, we are seeing this dog legitimately in biatch mode for that time period. And for any other females, if it's your time of the month and your dog is sensitive to that, we are seeing that from her as well. Like it like that week she was insane. She was like losing it. And it was very interesting to learn because both females were dealing with this at the same time. So it was like double whammy for her. So she was definitely way more reactive. It's almost like she's looking for those triggers, like any noises would set her off. And she would like, if Dexter, the brother, would react, Iggy, the female, she would bark and then go right for him. And sometimes it's almost like if things were going too well, if things were too status quo, too normal, one of them would look for a problem to start because they're so used to the chaos. Mm-hmm. So it's very enlightening to really hear about this. And mom is a social worker, so she understands the trauma that these dogs have been through. So we are relating it to her clients, and she's understanding that what's going on for both of them. It's like, again, like I said, like things are too status quo. They have to create a problem. Like they're creating new issues, right? So we have to really fix that anxiety versus just fixing the problems that are coming up. Because just like with obsessive personalities, like if someone, drinks too much, then they stop drinking. Like it's gonna switch to something else, because we're not fixing the root of the problem. We're not fixing the insecurity or the trauma or the anxiety or whatever it is that person is dealing with. Dogs are very similar. Just like if you have a garter and they guard only shoes, then you remove all the shoes, they're gonna guard something else. They're gonna guard socks or a sweater or something. It's gonna pop to something else because we're not fixing the issue.
Or it might not even surface guarding it. It'll just surface as something else.
Yeah. So we are, we're still problem solving with these two and there's two of them, right? So it's not just like it's Iggy on her own or Dexter on his own. We're working on them simultaneously so they can live more harmoniously, and they love each other. Any other time of the day, they're completely fine. But we're just trying to remove those OCD triggers. Like when both parents are in the kitchen and they are cooking that is a trigger for both dogs. They're like waiting for something to happen. Like Iggy will run Dexter into the galley kitchen and corner him. And it's like this big hoopla. And it's like some days they won't have it at all. But it's like that, is it going to happen tonight type thing that they were explaining to me. And I think it's like maybe 2 nights out of the week that they can expect it to really happen. So it's definitely getting better, but it's still happening. And Iggy's intensity when it's happening is getting better. They can pop her out of it a lot quicker, which is great. Like her edge is definitely off, but like that's like even when they're watching TV, things will be fine. And like he'll like move. And I told them to like look at this, like pay attention to Dexter. Does he shake his head? Does he make a noise? Does he even just like a little whine? Does he move a certain way? Does one of the parents get up and go to the kitchen for something and it happens like right after that? Like I need them to really pinpoint what makes her all of a sudden out of nowhere come out of a sleep and start staring at him and then stalk and then snap of the finger.
What are the antecedents? What's setting this up? That's really important.
Because it's not out of nowhere. It's not. I know a lot of people think it is. And they're like, out of nowhere, it'll just happen, or they're unpredictable. And it's like, no, it's like the smallest thing, but it's there. And we need to find that so we can skip over that and recreate a new desired behavior while working through that anxiety. We're not distracting. We're not putting a Band-Aid on intense anxiety and reactivity or an OCD behavior. We have to give them a better option and make that their routine.
Right. Replace the behavior.
Yes.
The only reliable way to modify behavior.
Yeah. So
replace it.
And like enrichment will help Dexter, which is great. But they say at night he's a character. Like he'll have his enrichment and like the mom that had them from the beginning, she's like, I can see him about to be finished with the bone and I know it's coming, but I can't even react quickly enough because it's literally a split second. He'll be done with the bone, look at her, and in that same moment just big bark at her, and that sets Iggy off. And she's like,
is that just like an obsessive thing that he does?
It's like an OCD thing. Like at night he is, and it's getting better. Thank God it's getting better with the double mental stimulation and keeping him busy and even separating him. Like he doesn't have separation anxiety, thankfully. Iggy does. I wouldn't be able to remove her from like the TV area. If like if anything changes in their routine, her wise, she's like danger, something's wrong. Him, he's completely fine with going into their bedroom and having his mental stimulation or his dinner or his breakfast in there. No problems. So I'm like, right now I'm taking him out of the situation just for a little bit to break the cycle.
Because he's like the only identifiable trigger right now. So
yes.
Removing him, it's going to help
other than noise. Like they live in an apartment, right? So like banging stuff, like knocking, things like that, that are normal in an apartment. That will set both of them off.
Right.
But in terms of him being a nudge and being like anxious and be like, everybody pay attention to me, that annoys her.
But it'll set both of them off. But is it setting him off and then she's responding to him, or is she responding to the noise?
I think both. I think she can do both. I think it can go both ways. He could react and she's like strength in numbers, but then all the energy is redirected on him. Or she's trying to tell him, shut the F up because you're stressing me out when you react like this. I think he is definitely the more reactive one. I think he's the one to react first, but she is still known to react on her own too. Like one of the issues that has gotten astronomically better is like any wildlife on their deck, like a bird or a squirrel, like she would legitimately slam into the glass. And that has not happened.
Stopped. I think that just stopped recording for a second.
Hold on 1 second.
So with this specific camera, I told you there's no record limits.
Yeah.
But there is a built-in thing that says like, hey, this camera's getting too hot because you're recording in 4K for too long, so we're going to turn off. You could turn that feature off. I forgot to do that. There
okay.
You go. I think it's on there now again. So, yeah. Oops.
All right.
So, would you like to fill the air and I'll go fix that?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, just talking about them still. So we are working on really changing up their routine, taking Dexter out of the situation in the normal trigger times for Iggy, because he seems to be a little bit more versatile and like physically moving him around the apartment. So he's going to eat his meals in the room for right now, just for like a few weeks to break the cycle. And then I can slowly reintegrate him back into normalcy and see how she reacts to it. But like, even like him going in the room and then like, she like waits for him to come out because she still wants to be with him and she's interested in what he's doing. But like that barrier between him coming out of the door, which I see very often with a lot of dogs, where like, I have another client, I've talked about them numerous times, Blizzard and Titan. They are actual brothers, and they have reactivity between the sliding glass door. They can see each other, even like in bedroom doors. Like they've gone at it in between those because that reactivity, that barrier frustration for both of them, and that can be learned behavior from a very early age. So I think these two are definitely struggling with that as well. I think, again, it's getting better as we go, slow progress. But like I said to both parents yesterday, that they're older. They've been through a lot. There's two of them, and they both have quite intense behavioral issues. It's a lot of little things that exacerbate each other and create this big chaos on a daily basis. So it's going to take a little bit for each of those things to start to subside and get better and stop triggering the other issues. So it's going to seem like a slow process, but we will come out of it and be like, oh my God, things are so much better once we pull our heads out, because a lot of times we look in with magnifying glasses. And even as people, we will like really put a lot of value on like what we see right in front of us versus how far have we come since the beginning. And I think that is something to remind ourselves, like, don't put so much pressure on you and your dog and whatever your situation is. Like, any progress is good progress, even if it's slow. And just have realistic expectations. I think that's a big thing. And I think that was a lot of our talk yesterday. And like because they don't know any better, they're asking me, what is normal? How long should this be taking? And they want to know, is it their dogs? And no, your dogs are fine. Your dogs are doing exactly what they need to do. There are some pretty intense issues going on here. So we are contemplating whether to raise Iggy's Prozac up, because she's only on a small dose. And I want to give it like 2-3 more weeks before I go that route, if I can change it up and really get her on board with the changes in routine. So yeah, that's where we're at with them, but I think it's drastically getting better. For them, it looks smaller. For me, it looks pretty big.
It's always like that on the outside. Like it's literally like when you go to the gym and you see your own body every day and you're like, I'm not seeing any improvement. And then all of a sudden you go see a friend you haven't seen in a while, or you go to a family party and everyone's like, oh my God, you look so great.
Exactly. Yep.
The change is drastic when you're on the outside looking in. And
they have to understand too, their family planning, and that's stressful. It's not easy when you struggle to get pregnant. So I think everyone, if you're listening, don't be so hard on yourselves. It's all going to come together. And the seasons have a lot to do with it too. It's been cold, and like if your dogs are dogs that, really need to get out and get that physical exercise and that mental stimulation that way, and they're not getting it, those days are going to be harder. Yeah. And you can't say that you're not making progress. They're just not set up for success mentally that day. They can't perform for you. They can't do what they need to do because they're not their best selves that day. Just like with people, right? Some people get really, really messed up when it's raining for multiple days in a row.
Wow. I've been good.
You have been good. You have. That used to be a big thing for you.
This kind of takes me back to the aversive training, social media nonsense.
What we were just talking about?
Because it's portrayed as this like a switch that you can just turn on and off.
And it's not.
Boom, the behavior's gone. And
it's not.
Like you would never hold a person to those same standards.
No.
We have good days. We have bad days. You go to the store and the person ringing you up could be a total jerk off. And if you're mature, you might say, all right, maybe they're having a really bad day. Maybe something happened. Maybe they're not feeling well. Maybe they're dealing with something. Why are we not affording this same?
We don't. Because we treat them like they're here to please us.
Serve us, yeah.
Yeah, and that's not what they're here for. They didn't ask to be here.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't ask to be a part of your family.
Right. I mean, you are literally bringing a wild animal into your home.
Yes, you are. I was saying that the other night. I was like, I was watching all 3 of our rescue dogs on our bed, like staring at me as I was like getting out of the shower, like little weirdos. And I was like, I have 3 wild beasts in my bed just staring at me. And I trust them not to kill me.
Yeah.
And I think it's just crazy that this is where we are as humans. Like we're just, and it annoys me. I've said this so many times. Like so many of my clients, like my dog gets the best food and they wear sweaters for Christmas and they have Christmas presents and like the best beds and all this stuff. We pamper them in every other aspect. But when it comes to their behavior, we expect them to do exactly as we say.
Right. And we will literally hold those things as collateral, as like a blackmail.
Yeah.
Like, look at all these things I do for them and they still.
Yeah. It's not a respect thing.
What if you go to therapy, which a lot of people should.
Yep.
If you go to therapy, what would your therapist say if someone was holding collateral over you like that?
It's a toxic relationship.
Right.
It's not healthy.
Something to consider.
Yes.
I didn't get the camera back up. I'll fix it for next time.
Okay.
Sorry, YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, once it starts to shut off, it wants to cool down before it lets me get back into the menu.
I don't blame it.
So I'll turn that feature off. Won't
For
be an
next
issue
time.
anymore. What are we up to?
We are
50.
up to, no. You can't see. 36 minutes.
36 minutes. Okay. Yeah, that's what I heard is about 25 to 30 minutes of 4K shooting, and it'll.
Okay.
But they said you turn that feature off, and there's never an issue. It's not like it's just going to melt down.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So back to what we were saying before, like you were saying, like the expectation of these dogs, right? My clients that just started, it's actually a friend of mine from high school. We played soccer together, but him and his girlfriend live in an apartment complex. Their dog, he's young. He's probably like 1 or 2. Cutie. Oh my God, he's so adorable. He got attacked twice. Like one was in a doorway, like he was in an apartment complex and they were opening.
Somebody else's dog?
By somebody else's dog. And it came out the door and pinned him against the wall. So he's petrified of doorways, this poor dog. And specific, like a specific dog that looks very similar to the 2 dogs that have attacked him, which I don't blame him, right? Associative learning. So they were trying to get into their apartment door like last week. And this is only like a week or 2 into his training of changing, how they're, handling the reactivity and stuff. And she's trying to get the key in. And this guy comes out of nowhere, like in the hallway, having to pass right past him to get outside, where he clearly like could have seen how this dog was reacting and turned around. But instead, he was angry about how the dog was reacting towards his dog and slowly scowled at my client past them, took his sweet time as this dog was in the corner freaking out as my client's trying to get into her door. If this is ever you and you are listening to this, please do not do this to any dog. You and your disapproval, it doesn't do anybody any good. We all think our dogs are the best things in the world, and there are a lot of reactive dogs out there. They are trying the best they can. So,
what's really messed up is like that owner could be, like the owner of the reactive dog could be at their breaking point of wanting to surrender this dog
exactly.
to the shelter.
Yep.
Like and like now they're swayed. They're like, I can't do this anymore. It's too much.
Yep.
Now people in my own apartment complex are like,
Yeah.
you never know the consequences of
how you react in a situation could literally make somebody else hit their tipping point.
Mm-hmm.
And that happened to us too. We have our dog walking business as well. And I hired somebody new and they invited a significant other over and was just not allowed. And I obviously had to fire them afterwards, but I had to explain like the dog that they were staying with was a super reactive dog with bite history.
Mm-hmm.
And if he had bitten the significant other, that family may have not wanted him anymore. And it's a lot of times we don't think about those things in the moment. There was no malice behind it. It wasn't something that she intended. But once we talked, she was like, oh my God, I didn't even realize, like these little things, our choices do affect these dogs.
right.
And it's scary because what if they didn't want him anymore? And he gets surrendered to a shelter, and no shelter in their right mind is going to keep a dog that has multiple bites on their history. It's a liability. So that dog will pay the price, right? So you don't know what everybody else is going through. I mean, we say this just people in general, like you don't know the baggage everybody else is hanging around. Mm-hmm. So everybody needs to keep their judgment to themselves. We're all doing the best we can. So if we can help one another, when you see a reactive dog, keep your dog moving. I know some people that are listening don't have reactive dogs, and that's not a problem. Maybe impulse control is an issue or separation anxiety. But if your dog is friendly, that doesn't mean that the other dog can handle your friendly dog. So that's something to keep in mind as well.
Cats do the weirdest things.
I know.
We'll switch
I just
over
watched her.
Watching Salem just walk to the middle of the room.
She was against the wall for 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. Then just quickly walked over to where the camera tripod is and sat as close as possible to it and just stood there and is now just, her body doesn't move. That's another thing with cats. Their bodies don't move, just their heads when they're in position.
She's so patient. It's amazing.
I know.
We'll look out the kitchen window and she'll be sitting next to a tree. And then you look out the same window an hour later and she's still sitting next to the tree. Hasn't moved.
It's kind of creepy though. I'm like, why is she being a creep out there? What is she looking at? Is she sleeping? She have us all duped and she's actually just taking a nap sitting up?
I don't know. Never thought we'd have a cat.
Oh God, I never thought. I mean, I had a cat in high school for 2 weeks because my roommate Michelle was cat obsessed. And what did I say?
High school.
Oh yeah, college. Yeah, we named
Wasn't
him.
it feral?
Yes, he was feral. He was sweet, but he was crazy. He didn't bite us or anything, but he was one of those cats that wanted to romp around all hours of the night. So, I mean, we were in college too. We lived in a really small room together and he was just on the dressers and stuff, just like one of those cats, knocking shit over. Just in the middle of the night, just, oh, let me just drop this coffee cup. Bam. And then everybody wakes up and it was just consistent. So, we gave him to one of our sorority sisters' family that had cats, and they took him and he lived out his life there.
Good for him.
Yeah.
What
But that was
name?
2 weeks. Ringo. We named him Ringo.
Ringo.
I think they once he got home, I think they renamed him something else, but
I hope so.
yeah. Yeah, I never thought we'd have a cat.
Yeah. All right. So just one more swing back to the YouTube thing.
Yeah.
So please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. Just Pawsome University on YouTube. And you're just going to start to see videos coming out.
Yep.
At least once a week. And I'm going to try and make them as high quality and engaging as possible.
Raw. We really want to come at this in a really raw way and just give you guys exactly what we do on a daily basis. No real editing going on. Just giving you what we do, how we think, how we formulate, how we learn.
All right. I think that was a good one.
Yeah, if you like to hear us ramble, I think that was a good one.
Well, we're rambling because we're back to the old setup with the headphones and the nice mics, and it's easier to just sit down and have a conversation. Mm-hmm. It's just something about it. It just feels more authentic. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think this is where the podcast is going to go. And I kind of like the setup.
It's fine with me.
We'll just have to work on the set.
Yeah.
We'll switch it so we're over there. Mm-hmm. And I'm pointing to the other side of the office, by the way. And we'll do some kind of nice set.
Tchotchkes.
I'll think about it.
Okay. You can't just have a blank wall, John.
See what I don't even remember what.
Nobody wants. You need a potted plant. A fake one.
I don't remember which one's the outro music. I don't think that's it, is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yes. Or it's the beginning one. I can't tell. It's been a while.
I don't know.
Yeah. That's it.
No, that's not.
Yes, it is.
I don't know what that is. That's not it.
Oh, my God.
I have no idea.
Don't listen to him. He's wrong.
This is it.
Okay.
Yeah. You know that Downy commercial that stole our music from our season 1
Is
podcast?
it Downy?
I think it's Downy.
It's one of the laundry commercials,
oh my God. Every time it's been coming on a lot on Hulu, and every time I hear it, I'm like, I wonder if anybody else does this. If anybody else hears this song and gets reminded of our podcast.
I hope
from the
so.
First season.
That would be fun.
Yeah. Who would have thought that a corporation would have such a low budget, because like we paid like $20 for the license for that song.
I mean, why spend more money than you have to?
Still,
Why spend more money than you have to?
it's silly.
If I worked at that company, it would have been my decision. I would have said the same thing.
Well, you saw that. Thank you for sticking around this long. We're gonna bring you back these high quality, really enjoyable podcast episodes. They're gonna be back, and we'll be back next week. We're gonna try and record every Tuesday, upload every Wednesday. Until next time.
Class dismissed.